Having a target or a goal is a great way to keep your personal finances on track. In this video, we're going to be creating a target net worth by age. How do you compare? Are you ahead or behind? And does it even really matter? What we're going to do is we're going to work backwards. We're going to have a retirement goal and we're going to work backwards to create a target net worth by age. We're going to do that for both an individual and for a couple. Now, individuals do have it a little bit harder when it comes to retirement planning because the spending for an individual is a bit more than half of what a couple will spend in retirement. So typically, an individual is spending more per person than a couple will. We're going to be targeting retirement spending of $75,000 a year for a couple, and for an individual, we're going to be targeting retirement spending of $45,000 per year. Now, we're going to start by creating these generic net worth benchmarks, but at the end of the video, we're going to highlight how this can change when you create a personalized plan. So a plan that actually reflects your specific situation and goals. Let's start with the benchmarks for a couple, and then we're going to look at the benchmarks for an individual. And then we'll look at a table with the summary for both side by side. Now, my name is Owen. I'm an advice-only financial planner and a CFP. And on this channel, we help you create the perfect retirement plan. We look at strategies, tips, and case studies around retirement planning. Make sure you like and subscribe so you don't miss any of the future videos. Now, for a couple, to create our net worth target by age, we're going to be working backwards from a retirement spending goal of $75,000 per year. So here we've got our projection for a couple. Now again, we're working backwards here. So let's familiarize ourselves with this couple, and then let's see what the target net worth is by age. So this couple at the moment, they're both age 25. We got Mike and Mary here. And again, their spending goal in the future is $75,000 per year in retirement. Now we can also take a look at their income assumptions. So right now we were assuming that they've got household income of $110,000 a year. That's $55,000 each. We're assuming that grows above inflation until they get to about age 45 here, and then it's going to be $160,000 a year, just cost of living adjusted after that. So from a today's dollars perspective, at age 45, we're assuming their salary is about $80,000 a year each. Now we're also assuming that they're saving every year. They're going to be getting a group RSP, so they're going to be putting in 5%, employer matches 5%. If you don't have a group RSP, then we need to be assuming 10% of your gross income going into an RSP every year. We're also assuming Mike and Mary are adding to their TFSA accounts every year. They're actually not maxing it out. They don't have to. As a couple, they don't need to save quite as much as an individual. So they're doing $5,000 out of the $7,000 contribution room every year. And they're just doing that steadily throughout the pre-retirement accumulation phase. Now their plan's quite successful already, so they can probably spend more in the future, but let's take a look at their target net worth by age, see how much they need to spend that $75,000 a year in retirement. Now let's start at age 25, so let's assume that maybe they're paying off some debt, student loans or something before that, so even if they're working, they're not really accumulating any assets. But from a financial asset perspective, by the end of the year they turn age 25, we want to have about $21,000 as a couple. So combined between the two, $21,000 is the goal at age 25. Now at age 30, we want to have $138,900 between them as a couple. So just shy of $140,000 at age 30. And again, this is just financial assets, so this doesn't include any home equity. Now at age 35, we're aiming for $281,000, a little over $281,000 as a couple at age 35. That's our net worth target if we want to spend $75,000 a year at age 60 in retirement. Now let's see age 40. At age 40, working backwards, we need $452,000 in financial assets at age 40. It's starting to accelerate here because they're getting the benefit of compounding on those investments. So they're still contributing the same amounts as a percentage of their income, but they're definitely seeing an acceleration here due to the compounding effect of those investments. And we are assuming on the accumulation side an 80-20 asset allocation. On the decumulation side, it's a 60-40. So a bit more aggressive on the accumulation side, a bit more balanced on the decumulation side. Now at age 45, they need to have $656,000. So it's getting quite aggressive now. Age 45, $656,000 is the target net worth for a couple. At age 50, we need $894,000. So just shy of $894,000 for a couple at age 50. At age 55, we need $1,168,000. So $1,168,000 at age 55. And the year of retirement, let's call it age 60, $1.417 million. So $1,417,000 at age 60 is what they're going to be aiming for. Now, your plan might be different than this. You might have kids. You might be paying for childcare or daycare. You might be a little bit behind these benchmarks because you have other factors. You might be purchased a home or a condo. What we would recommend is creating a personalized plan, a plan that reflects your own personal values and goals. If you go to advice.ca and you click the Start Planning buttons in the For Client page, you can create a personalized plan. It's just $9 a month, $49 for the year. You can create a personalized plan that reflects all of your personal values and goals. So you can see what your target net worth will be by age for your specific situation. Now, for an individual to create a target net worth by age, we're going to be working backwards from a retirement spending goal of $45,000 per year. So this is the individual plan. So let's take a look at who we're working with here. Again, we've got Mike. Mike's 25 at the moment. Mike's earning about $55,000 a year. Mike wants to spend $45,000 a year in retirement. Again, spending for an individual in retirement is a bit more than half of what it will be for a couple. So Mike's got a little bit of extra work here as an individual. Now, like our other plan, we've got Mike earning about $55,000 a year at age 25. That's going to go up above inflation until about age 45, and then just cost of living adjustments after that. At age 45, Mike's earning about $80,000 a year. In terms of saving, Mike does need to save a little bit more than the couple. So Mike is also, he has a group RSP, 5% employee contribution, 5% match from the employer. If you don't have that, then you need to be doing 10% into a personal RSP. And Mike here is maximizing the TFSA every year. So unlike a couple, they weren't quite maximizing their TFSA. Mike has to maximize the TFSA. Mike needs additional assets. Now let's take a look at the target net worth by age. At age 25, again, we're kind of assuming Mike's maybe paying off some personal debt, student loans, but at age 25, we need to have about $12,500 in financial assets. Now again, at age 30, we need to have about $82,600 or so about $83,000 in financial assets at age 30 as an individual. At age 35, we need $166,000, a bit over $166,000 at age 35. At age 40, we need $266,000, $266,000 at age 40. At age 45, as an individual, Mike needs to be aiming for $386,000, $385 and a bit more, so $385,000 at age 45. At age 50, Mike needs to be aiming for $524,000, so it starts to accelerate here. Again, we've got a bit higher income, but really the compounding effect of investment returns is helping out a lot. So $524,000 for Mike at age 50. At age 55, $683,000, $684 if we round up. At age 60, if Mike wants to retire at age 60, let's call it $829,000. So Mike needs to be aiming for $829,000 at age 60 when he retires to be spending $45,000 a year in retirement. Okay, let's take a quick look at the summary here. So we've got target net worth by age. These are the same values we just saw in the projection. For an individual, for Mike's aiming for at age 60, $828,800. So about $829,000 at age 60 to be spending $45,000 a year in retirement. For a couple, they need about $600,000 more. So not quite double because they don't have to spend quite as much as a couple. So $1,416,000 and $900. That's what they're aiming for. So $1,400,000 and about $17,000. Now, if we want to work backwards, let's say it's at age 40, we need about $266,000 as an individual, $452,000 as a couple. Now, again, your plan might be different because this is reflecting this specific situation. There's no kids, there's no home purchase, they're renting, different situation than you might be in. So let's talk about how this changes from generic benchmarks to a personalized plan. One of the challenges with generic benchmarks is that everybody's path is different. I've seen over 1,000 retirement plans, and I can tell you that no two looked exactly the same. We all have different goals and values. Even if you and I had the exact same financial situation today, the exact same assets, the same income, our plans would look wildly different because we probably have different values and different goals. There are so many factors when it comes to a financial plan. You could have retirement at 55 versus 60 versus 65. You could have kids, no kids, 1 kid, 2 kid, 3 kids. You could have buying a home versus renting. You could have buying a larger home and then downsizing versus renting a smaller home and keeping it. There are all sorts of different situations, different spending levels, different phases of retirement spending. Every single retirement plan is different. What you need is a personalized plan that reflects your situation, your values, and your goals. They say that comparison is the thief of joy, so try not to use generic benchmarks to figure out whether or not you are on track for retirement or not. What you want to do is create a personalized retirement plan. You want to figure out whether or not you're on track for your specific situation, values, and goals. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you at the next one.